Today is July 1st, which is Canada Day. And here in Canada, the nice thing is that there's so much variety of food. And one of the things that I really enjoy whenever there's a festival or a market or a fair is this Canadian treat. Today on Jay's World Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make a typical beaver tail. And don't worry, no beavers are actually going to be harmed in the making of this video. But we're going to start off using our mixer, and I'm just using 1/4 cup of warm water, tablespoon of yeast, and 1 teaspoon of white sugar. Stir it up ever so slightly, just to activate that yeast for a short while. And while we're waiting for that to bloom, I'd like to give a quick shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon. Without their financial support, this channel would not be possible. If you'd like to find out more about Patreon and how you can help to financially support this channel, please click on the Patreon link down below in the comments section. Once that's started to foam up rather nicely, just after about 5 minutes or so, we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 cup of warmed milk, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, about 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 egg, and 3 tablespoons of oil. And I'm just using a vegetable oil. And now into that, we're going to add 2.5 cups of flour, but we're not going to add them all at once. We're going to start off with about 3/4 of it and let this mix up, and then just add a little bit more because we want a nice, smooth and elastic, but quite light dough. Now, as you can see, this has formed quite a nice soft dough. And so what you're going to do now is we're going to leave it in the machine and we're going to let it knead for about 5 to 8 minutes. Now, if you're enjoying this video, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and remember to turn on notifications so that you know when my next video drops. Now, once your machine has finished kneading your dough, it's going to be quite nice and elastic and quite smooth. And we're going to pop that into a lightly greased bowl, just like that. Make sure it gets a little bit of oil all the way around, like that. Cover it with a tea towel, like that. Now, instead of using plastic wrap, I'm just going to put my plastic cover on it like that. And now we're going to leave that to rise for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now my dough has been rising for about 40 minutes. Let's take a quick peek in here. Look at that, isn't that just perfect? And now what we're going to do is we're going to very gently punch it down. And we're going to start removing sort of a golf ball sized ball of this, one at a time. Just like that. Roll it a little in your hands, and then on a lightly floured surface, you're going to roll that out. We really do kind of want to make it a oval type shape so that it's more like a beaver tail, and then we're going to just sort of stretch it out. And of course, as always, these do not have to be perfect, but just like that, we're just going to set them aside and do a couple more. Now is a really good time to start heating up your oil. Now I'm going to be using probably about 3 to 4 cups of oil. I don't need it to be very, very deep, but I do want it deep enough that the whole beaver tail will fit in there. So you want to heat that up because we want to get it up to 385 degrees Fahrenheit. And a good time to do that is while you're rolling these out. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our oil gets up to temperature, and we want this to be around 385 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's see where we're at. And we're pretty close, so this is perfect. And we're just going to take one beaver tail at a time and drop it into that oil like that. And really, it's not going to take a very, very long time to fry this. They are going to lift up rather nicely. You want it to get kind of golden brown, and then we're going to flip it over. And when they're nice and brown, just like that, we're going to take them out of the oil. Now I'm putting it onto a baking sheet with just a draining rack on it, but you can of course put this onto paper towel. You want to make sure that your oil is always coming back up to temperature in between, so that you're not going to have it sitting and absorbing too much oil. You really want it to fry pretty quick. And we're going to carry on doing that until we have done all of our beaver tails. And now that we've fried all of our beaver tails, we're going to take 1 cup of sugar, and you can obviously increase this volume if you have cinnamon sugar around. I usually do keep quite a lot on hand for pancakes and crepes and things like that. But 1 cup of white sugar and 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. And very simply just mix those two together. And of course you can change the ratios too if you prefer something with a bit more cinnamon or something with a little bit less, but of course I like quite a lot in there, and I find this quite a good ratio too. Mix those in kind of well like that. And I'm just using a casserole dish to do this in, but what you want to do is you want to take a beaver tail, and then you're going to liberally sprinkle it with that cinnamon sugar, especially while it's still hot is a really good time to do that. And flip it over. You kind of sort of want it to have a tiny bit of oil still, so that some of that cinnamon sugar sticks to it. Now, before you actually put cinnamon sugar on all of them, if you're not going to eat all of them right away, or you don't have enough people for the ones that you made in this batch, made 9, but you can actually get usually about 10. I think my portions are a little bit bigger, but you can usually get about 12 out of this. You can actually, at this point, before you put the cinnamon sugar on, you can actually wrap these and pop them in the freezer to reheat later and enjoy. But for me, I'm going to be covering these in cinnamon sugar and looking forward to tasting them. I can't tell you how excited I am to try these. Whenever you go out to any event, these are definitely something you've got to have, and there's all kinds of toppings you can put on this. We'll talk about that after I give this a taste, but really it's quite light and slightly crunchy to my fingers, and it pulls apart really nice. I can't wait to try this. Of course, I'm a big fan of cinnamon and sugar, and so I like sweet things. So this is right down my alley. I love that. The crunch, obviously the first taste is the sugar and the cinnamon, but the inside, the core, is very, very soft and just perfect. These are absolutely amazing. If you try this recipe, I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comment section below how these turned out for you and what you do to your beaver tails to make them unique to you. Now, if you'd like to see some more of my content, you can find me on all of these social media, and that link is down in the bottom of the comment section. Now, if you'd like to try some more of my treats and snacks, you can click on this playlist right here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy eating, eh?